welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim, and today I have a dresser refinish project for you that I worked on last summer. One thing that I wanted to get for each of my kids as they got older was their own dresser. While they were little, plastic drawers or bins in the closet was sufficient for their clothes storage, but as they got older, I really wanted them to all have a dresser for their clothes that they could take with them when they move out if they wanted to. So I was on the hunt for a decently built dresser. Lots of new ones nowadays that we could afford anyway seem to be made of particle board, and I just don't like particle board furniture. It seems like the bottoms get broken and corners get broken off whenever we try to move them, and I try not to buy it. Now, we've bought particle board furniture in the past when we haven't been able to afford as much, and you do what you can do, but I have recently gotten into redoing furniture to a degree. I don't do it often, but I feel like I can, and I was ready to give a dresser a try. Anyway, when my father-in-law was at the Goodwill by my house and he knew I was looking for a dresser, he sent me a picture of this dresser. I thought it looked good. I was going to go check it out, and I ended up coming home with this gray dresser for only $25. My original plan was to give it a rough sand and then repaint it, but as I started sanding it and I saw the wood on top of the dresser underneath, I fell in love with that wood and I just wanted to refinish part of it at least. So a new plan formed, one that required a lot more work than I intended to put into this dresser. But it was a labor of love. I was refinishing this dresser for my son, who is now 13, and the thought of him being able to take it with him and maybe give it to one of his kids really helped keep me motivated when the job got kind of tough. The hardest part of any project I'm coming to find is prepping. So sanding it off, scraping the paint, getting the area ready to look beautiful. But if you do that job well, everything else goes so much easier. It took me a while to get all the prepping done because I did not spend every free moment working on this. So it ended up taking me probably a total of 6 to 8 months to get this dresser done, but I really didn't spend a lot of time on it. A couple hours every weekend, not even every weekend, a couple hours a few weekends here and there is about what it took to get this done. The hardest part, again, was the prepping and more specifically getting the paint off. There was 3 different colors of paint: white, that teal color, and the dark gray. And I don't know how many coats of each color there was on it. So we sanded as much as we could, and some parts sand off better than others. But I also, in the harder to reach places, ended up using Citrus Strip, which is like a stripping gel. It's orange, and I had never used a stripping gel before, and so it's a learning process. All of these projects I am not an expert at. I am just watching videos, reading instructions, and just figuring it out. So the wood stain that I'm using today is a little container, a little jar from, I got it from Menards. It's Varathane wood stain, and it's the golden oak color. So I haven't had a whole lot of success with stains. It seems like every stain I pick out ends up with a red tint to it. So I tried to pick something that wasn't gonna have a red tint to it, and it ended up still having a little bit red in it, but I think it still turned out really pretty, and it really fit well with the wood. So I am not an expert at staining at all. I am still relatively new to this wood staining and furniture refinishing journey, but it's really fun to learn along the way, and it turns out a lot better if you wipe it off. That's what stain is supposed to be. You have to wipe it off, and I just learned that. I'm sure you experts in refinishing are rolling your eyes right now, but everyone has to learn in their own way, and I am learning in mine. So it's really fun to do. And as you see, I am doing the frame around the front of the dresser. And I'm going to try to paint on the inside where the drawers go a little bit. So it is coming along nicely. This is the fun part of the project where I get to finally see if what I thought or designed in my head, if it works. I also wanted to say that if you think that refinishing furniture is out of your price range because you have to buy different stains and stuff, this little jar of stain that I got and I used it for the whole dresser was, I believe, $7 or $8. So it's not that pricey. I use an old rag to wipe and I use one of those cheap paint brushes to apply it. So I don't like to spend a lot of money right now on brushes because they are sometimes difficult to clean. And if I buy the cheap brushes, I can just kind of throw them away. Next up is painting the sides here. One of the reasons we decided to paint the side is because I could not get that paint off. I tried the citrus strip, I tried scraping it, we tried sanding it. Like, that's the best I could get. I don't know what was up with it, but we just got it as smooth as we could, and I decided to apply some paint, and I think it turned out very well once I got a few coats on there. I believe I had to do about 3 coats. It's a paint and primer, and yeah, so I had to do about 3 coats altogether to cover that up, but it turned out really well. I don't know if I'm doing things in the proper order for any of you who do this regularly, but I did stain and then I decided to paint. I guess I felt like it would be easier to not worry about staining the paint than painting the stain. I don't know, it made sense to me at the time. So I am just applying some tape and doing some edge work there. It was pretty easy to do the tape because there's a little groove, and so the tape would just fold down into the groove and it made a nice little line for me. My son's favorite color is green, and so I was really happy to find a color that he liked that I thought went really well with the stain that I picked. Like I said, this does have a kind of orangey reddish tint to it. I can't seem to figure out what stain doesn't look like that on most of the woods that I'm using. So if you have any tips on that, let me know. All of them on the in samples look darker or clearer, but no red. So anyway, I tried to find a good balance between paint and stain, and I think that we achieved that. I like that a good bit of the front is stained wood, and as you'll see in a little bit, the dresser faces are stained wood as well. I had a hard time sanding the edges of the door handles, and so I decided to paint those. This was kind of a paint what you can't get all the old paint off of, and so that's what I did, and I think it turned out really good. I like how it looks. It's a fun balance, especially for a kid's dresser. So here I am sanding the finished product. Now I haven't put any polyurethane on. This is just the stain and the paint. I am using a very, very fine sandpaper. I just want to give something for the polyurethane to grab onto just a little bit. So it's difficult for me because I'm like, oh, it looks beautiful, and then I have to sand it up. But it's how it works so much better. I've done it before where I apply polyurethane without the sanding, and the polyurethane gets really rough on top and not smooth and shiny at all. So it's a good idea to do a light, gentle sand after or before you're ready to put the polyurethane on. Don't forget to dust off the dust though before you put the polyurethane on. So here's the dresser top. This is what made me change my plans for the whole dresser, is just seeing this beautiful wood on top and wanting the dresser top to be wood. Well, now that all the sanding is done and the dusting is done, I'm ready to apply the polyurethane. I use a water-based polyurethane because it's easier cleanup than an oil-based one. I also put 2 coats on surfaces that are not going to have things setting on top of them. So I put the first coat on, and then I do another light sand, and I do a second coat, and that really makes it look nice and glossy and smooth. I even put polyurethane over the paint to help prevent peeling, and sometimes paint feels tacky. I know that this dresser will be in my son's bedroom, which is in the basement or going to be in the basement, and I just want to prevent moisture from getting in there. Now you got to make sure that there's adequate drying time in between coats and all of that, so that's why things took a little bit longer. Here I am, rushing to the finish. I have been working on this forever and it's finally coming together. I believe I put 3 coats of polyurethane on the top of the dresser because I knew my son would be setting decorations and things on top of that dresser. It's fun when projects come to an end. It feels like all of the work that you have put forth is finally paying off. I'm doing my last coat of polyurethane inside the garage because it's a really windy day today and I do not want any leaf debris getting on my freshly polyurethane smooth dresser. So here it is. It's finished and functional. There are clothes in it and everything. Yes, it is in a basement bedroom currently that is in renovation status here, so it doesn't look the best in the surroundings, but the dresser looks amazing. My son really likes it and he is able to use it and has a place for his clothes and is very sturdy, and I just love the fact that we took the time to refinish a dresser. If you stayed around this far, thank you so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!